I better say one thing real quick. Make it happen.
Yeah, there's, right, it's like, I forget, I think I have 8 minutes, it's like 15 minutes of thing. He'll explain, but yes, we have. Last year we did, we asked. Start fire questions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 p.m., and I believe that we should start the festivities. On behalf of all of those who have helped organize this exciting event, I say welcome to the finals of the 3rd Annual Innovation Competition at Dickinson. I am Michael Fratantuono. I'm in the Department of International Business and Management. I am one of the 2 co-directors of the competition. The other is Ms. Marianne Leidig, our International Business and Management Academic Department Coordinator. And if truth be told, she is the backbone of our organization. The competition is consistent with the educational mission of Dickinson College, as articulated by founder Benjamin Rush. That is, to shape a useful liberal arts education that serves as the foundation for lifelong learning and engaged citizenship. We believe so for a few reasons. The competition asks students to work in interdisciplinary teams. In our increasingly globalized and linked world, the ability to engage in collaboration within and across organizations and boundaries is a critical skill. The competition asks students to be creative. A few years ago, Bloom's taxonomy was reconfigured. Today, creativity sits atop the pyramid of important learning outcomes. The competition invites students to address current public, social, and economic needs. This last dimension is open-ended and compelling. That is, we live in an era of increasing interdependence. In such a context, our young people must be innovative in order to help make progress towards goals. In its own way, the creation of the competition is an innovation for which there is a narrative. In spring semester of 2014, Mr. Finocchiaro was a 3rd-year student in my global economy course. One day, he asked to see me. When we met, he explained that he thought it would be wonderful if at Dickinson there could be a Shark Tank-type innovation competition that would be interdisciplinary in nature and would carry with it a monetary award, perhaps even money from a venture capitalist. I invited Eddie to have lunch with my colleague Helen Takacs and with student leaders from 2 organizations, the Idea Fund and the Student Investment Group, and we decided that we would attempt to move ahead on Eddie's idea. During the summer of 2014, Helen and I made some slow but steady progress in our outreach to the Office of the President and the Office of Advancement, among others. By September, we had secured permission to go ahead with the competition and had secured some startup funds and had identified a company that specialized in providing IT platforms for managing such competitions. Our first competition took place in spring 2015, the second in spring 2016. This year, the competition consists of 3 rounds. In the first round, the idea round, teams submitted a document to judges that described their concept. During that round, the Idea Fund, the student group I mentioned, provided helpful advice about shaping ideas. For their part, the judges provided feedback to the teams. In the second, description rounds, students further developed their concept and articulated the economic logic of their innovation. To help teams shape ideas during that round, the student investment group held a workshop about financial matters. The judges evaluated the written submissions and narrowed the field to today's 3 finalists. I personally am very excited about today's event, which is part 2 of the 3rd pitch round. That is, the judges have already evaluated the written plan submitted by our 3 finalist teams. The grades the teams earned from the judges in those written submissions make up 70% of the total grade for the pitch round. Today, the remaining 30% of the overall grade for the pitch round will determine the winner. Clearly, this is an event with many moving parts, and many people have helped make the competition a success. In February, 12 alumni and friends of the college served as educators in a 1-half-day workshop with 3 panels. They made presentations to students considering partition in the competition about forming an idea, financing an idea, and marketing an idea. Each of today's teams has a mentor. Nick Hunter, class of '98, mentored Team Art House. Bree Goldstein, '05, mentored Team Our Story. And David Carlson, class of '99, mentored Team The Happy Avocado. We have had excellent help from students. Jojo Okran of the IB&M Majors Committee has worked with Marianne Leidig on the logistics. John Liebengut represents the Idea Fund. Christy Oshall represents the Student Investment Group. Our panel of judges is quite impressive. Dave Sarcone kindly agreed to return as the lead judge. Dave is quite broad in his expertise. He is a faculty member, too, of the Health Studies major. A second judge is Professor Tony Underwood of Economics. He teaches econometrics and environmental economics, and he is a contributing member of the Dickinson Certificate Program in Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Our third judge is Ms. Sherry Ritchie, an adjunct faculty member. She has a wonderful reputation in Pennsylvania business community, and she's made a very positive contribution to the success of our department in the past 2 years. We have had support from representatives of our Office of College Advancement. Mr. Leighton LaFrance, an advancement officer, Mr. Rob Beckelheimer, senior advancement officer, did outreach to alumni for the February workshop and to serve as mentors. The competition would not be possible without the support of Richard and Catherine White. Their gifts make possible the prizes of $4,000, $2,000, and $1,000 for our 3 finalist teams. And we have also received financial support from Highmark Blue Shield, represented today by Ms. Ellen Corbett. We thank you. As well, we have received contributions from Giant Foods. The rules are simple. As listed on the program, the teams will present in that order. Each team will have 10 minutes to make their presentation. We'll signal them at 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 1 minute. Then there will be 10 minutes of Q&A by the judges. At this point, there are fewer than 2 points out of 70 separating the 3 teams. Any one of the 3 teams can win the competition. Our judges have explained to me they intend to ask probing questions. After each team presents, there'll be a 5-minute break as the judges make their evaluations. Very quickly, there are some other opportunities. The audience present in the hall today will be able to vote for their favorite presentation via a clicker. The team that gains the most votes will earn the People's Choice Award. And finally, I note that as a first-time innovation, today's event is being live streamed to a viewing audience. And as a second innovation, those viewing the event may choose to complete a survey, one that will enable them to tell each team what they perceive to be the team's strengths and weaknesses, and as well to provide advice to each team. If our viewing audience would like to wait until a later time to serve as an advisor, then the survey will also be available at the Innovation Competition at Dickinson website. Let us begin, Team Art House.
Welcome and thank you. Our innovation is Team Art House. This idea came to me last summer. As a college student entering college, one of the worries that I had to deal with was how am I going to decorate my dorm room? I wanted my dorm room to be an inviting and unique place, so I got the idea of using original artwork to decorate my dorm room. And when I started looking online for unique artwork, original artwork from an artist, I realized that it's not as easy as you'd think to go online and buy artwork. The process is very cumbersome, it's inconvenient, and overall it's discouraging from people looking to participate in the online art market. So the product is Art House, which is behind the art innovation is myself. I'm Eric, the team leader. I study chemistry and engineering.
I'm Leslie. I'm majoring in math and IMBM.
I'm Shirley. I'm the econ major and potential art major.
So this is our team. Leslie will discuss our problem.
As Eric mentioned, there are three main problems existing in the art community. The first problem is the great amount of time and effort required to search through paintings to find one that suits your taste. So people will feel tired and choose not to buy at last. The second, as for the next two, imagine going to buy a car. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing anything about it and without even seeing it. It has no difference with art. If people can't see the real picture, real painting and are not sure about the quality, they will feel afraid of being cheated. So the second problem is the risk of purchasing art from strangers without seeing. Besides, the artwork is expensive, so people want to know for sure what they exactly want, which requires experience and knowledge for art. So people who lack that need guidance to help them directly help them choose. So the third problem is the lack of experience and knowledge, which makes purchasing and selling art appear to be intimidating and not worth the risk. So Art House wants to find a solution to solve those problems. We will build a web platform that creates an online market and community. On that platform, firstly, we will make sure that consumers can browse and purchase easily. We will have sophisticated search tools and one-click purchasing to make sure that people will not spend lots of time and efforts in purchasing art. Secondly, will require return guarantees and provide rental options to make people try before they buy, so to ensure that they participate in the risk-free market. Thirdly, we will provide guidance through community forums, feedbacks, and guides, so people who lack of experience and knowledge will seek guidance. Besides, emerging artists are not like professional artists who have opportunity to show their artwork in the museums or galleries. So we will provide the opportunity to show their artwork and let them make money. So the inclusivity allows buyers and sellers to participate in the art market in a safe and inviting environment. People who will benefit the most are those who have recently joined the art market and have expressed pain points with it. Another important beneficiaries are those who have a strong desire to participate in the art market, but have not done so because of its barriers. Although those two are the main focus, people with a moderate in art that may be inclined to participate in the art market if they are offered a safe, risk way to do so can also benefit from it.
So the mission of Art House is to create a web platform that makes art easy and accessible to everybody. One of the ways we're going to do this is offering art rental on our platform. That's one of our pieces that are going to encourage people to participate in the online art market. When a competitor, Artsicle.com, introduced the rental model to the online art market, they were labeled the Netflix of art, which is a reference to the subscription model in which people can rent from the website as long as they are subscribed to the website. But we don't want to be just the Netflix of art. We're looking for a descriptor more revolutionary as well as inclusive. We want to call ourselves the iTunes for art. We want to do what iTunes did for music for the art industry, the online art market. We want to make going online and purchasing a piece of artwork as easy as it is to buy a song online. Everybody in here, I'm guessing, is able to go or knows their music tastes, and they go online and purchase songs. Why isn't it the same way for art? It's because of a lot of barriers that happen with art, and we want to make people more aware through our website about art, and we want to make the whole experience more inclusive and easy. So what's the market that we're going to be getting engaged in? The online art market in 26 was reported as $3.75 billion, which has gone up 15% since the previous year. Now, this represents a 7.8% market penetration within the overall art market, which includes physical auction houses, physical galleries, and the likes. Within the online art market, there's a more specific segment that we're going to be targeting. That's online art marketplaces that are catered towards people who are looking for a more inviting experience. Just to give you an idea of what the smaller segment of the online art market is, one of our competitors, Etsy.com, in 2014, they reported a $195 million revenue, which had actually gone up 64% since the previous year. So to define our demographic that we're going to be catering to, first we looked at what the trends are in buying art online. We found out that the majority of art bought online actually is costing less than $5,000 per piece. This means people aren't going online to buy $1 million Picasso paintings. They're going online to buy from local and emerging artists. Going further, who is the people exactly who's buying these inexpensive artworks? We found that the demographic that buys these inexpensive artwork is what's referred to as Generation Y, which is people between 20 and 35 years old. We found a little bit more information about these people, and we found out that this demographic tends to spend less than $5,000 per year total. So we're going to be targeting to this Generation Y demographic, which is less than 3 years of experience, which is people with less than 3 years of experience in the online art marketplace, both buyers and sellers, and people with 20 to 35 years in age. So we looked at exactly what this demographic wants, and this information is taken from a survey done by the Hiscox Insurance Group. And the survey says that this demographic, for people currently participating in the online art market, they value a website based on their ease of search, the information about the artist that the website provides, as well as comprehensive pricing information about the artwork. The people in this demographic who are currently not in the online art market, but who buy physical art instead, they say the reason that they don't get involved in the online market is because they can't see the art in person, because they don't have the ability to return the art if it's not as expected, and they're afraid of getting scammed. Finally, 52% of this demographic says that they attribute significant value to the educational experience of purchasing art online. So in order to cater to these needs, desires, and pain points of this demographic, we designed a website. This is just a basic prototype website, just to give you an idea of what we're trying to do. So let's take a look first at an artist's profile. So this is a profile, and so just for an example, we used Shirley. So this profile, to point out the things that the Generation Y demographic really wants. We provide plenty of information. Going on here, you can access the artist's bio, their curriculum vitae, artist feedback, communities that the artist is involved in, as well as the artist's physical location. You have ways to contact the artist, so that way you know more about the artist, which is something that people expressed. This is all Shirley's artwork, just to use it as an example. So let's say we're interested in this one painting. We can go on here and get more information about this painting. We want to know exactly what it is, because if a user knows more about the painting, they're more encouraged to buy it. So we give as much detail as possible. Things that I want to point out specifically are the genetic makeup of the painting. The genetic makeup refers to the specific characteristics of a painting. That is, its material, its size, its themes, its color. We want to be descriptive as possible when making these paintings, because this will open up a huge wealth of data about specific painting types. So this painting type, we describe that as much as we can. So going further, we also, using this genetic makeup of paintings, we can also incorporate this into comprehensive pricing data, which is very important to consumers when they're purchasing art online. We want to be able to tell the artists exactly how much this painting is being sold for, and what exactly it is within the context of the overall art market. Are you getting a good deal? Because people who are inexperienced in the art market, they don't know for sure if $250 for a painting is a lot or a little. So we want to give them that information at their fingertips. We also want to be able to offer them the ability to contact an expert. Once we're more developed, we're going to hire experts and allow them to help guide people through the art process so they're more encouraged to buy at the end. Going back to the competition that we're facing within our market. So we laid the competition for the online art market out into a few different types. Let me just get the slide back up here. Oh, yeah. So we We mapped out the competition based on two different characteristics for online art marketplaces: whether or not the marketplace offers rental, and whether or not the art marketplace is curated. And we feel that curated is a synonym for exclusive, meaning that only the art marketplace chooses who can and can't sell on the website. Now, here are just a few examples of the people or the other companies within our marketplace. If you notice, there's actually an unoccupied niche in the art marketplace right now. Up here in the left-hand corner, there's no art marketplace currently that offers rentals in a non-curated environment, meaning that there's no place where an artist can go to rent out their artworks in order to, and be sure that they'll be allowed to rent out their artworks. So this is the demographic that Art House is going to fulfill. We're going to offer an environment where people can go online, rent artwork in a non-curated environment to be as inclusive as possible. As a final descriptor, notice we have convenient purchase. This means that people can go on and quickly purchase with a click of a button artwork. Most traditional artwork sites, they have it, so you have to get approved by the artist before you can rent their work.
So this is our third-year revenue model, when we have already established our user space. We assume that we have the same growth rate with our competitor Etsy. So we have the total sales volume per year is $26 million, and we take 2% of commission taken from each sales and rentals, and we can estimate that our revenue is $520,000. And the advertising, part of our revenue will be spent on the advertising. These are the most effective ways of advertising: media articles, social media, and word of mouth. And because the first year we don't have enough funds to support us to invest advertising through the media articles, so we will choose media, social media, and word of mouth. And from the last exhibition I held, I have a lot of contacts in the art communities who will be really helpful in advertising to our ideas. All right.
All right, so the final comments is what we need now is a website. We need to realize this idea. So we'll use the money from this competition to build our website. And looking forward, we are looking to integrate technology into making art more accessible to everybody. The best way to do this is through the use of innovative technology such as 3D visualization of paintings in your room. So you're not so afraid of buying art. You have that insurance about buying an art because you know exactly how it's going to look in your room. So our goal is to make art more successful, and with this competition, we hope that we're able to achieve this.
Okay, I have one question. I have a couple of standard questions. The first question is, in the contest itself, it indicates that one of the requirements is a focus on ideas made sustainable. And it broadly talks about sustainability encompassing social, environmental, and economic dimensions. Can you, or would you please, in a kind of coherent way, speak to sustainability as it relates to this particular business concept?
Yes. So I kind of had to go over it really quickly, but if we go back to our website, there's another thing, which was the community. This is where that's going to be happening. The community is part of our website because it's largely a community-based website that opens up art to everybody. Part of that is the ability for people to connect and help each other. The sustainability piece comes in that we want to offer a hub for people to donate used art supplies. Another problem within the art community is that people have art supplies. It has no resale value. It's often difficult to find a place to donate it. So because we're all creating a community, a close-knit community of artists, we think that this is a great platform to also include donations so that art supplies isn't just thrown out, it's recycled into hopefully underserved communities especially, but also people like schools, organizations that need it.
Yeah, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I have like 2 or 3 and I'll go real quick.
Yeah, no problem.
Another kind of standard question is, what event or action, what could occur that would lead to the failure of this business? What do you think is a critical issue that essentially could untrack this activity?
So the big thing right now is that we don't actually have a website built. We have the prototype, but we need to get our ideas into like a tangible form. Right now, they're just ideas. It's possible that a competitor, honestly, they could just take these ideas, since at this point they are just ideas. That's why with the competition money, we need to get this on the ground, to get actual programs running that will incorporate the technology that we want to into our website. So the biggest thing is we don't have protection from competitors.
Because time's limit, I have one more question,
Yeah.
and I'll turn this over. In the opening of the written response, you say there are no restrictions to what can be posted for sales and rental. So if I wanted to purchase a picture of dogs playing poker, I'm only teasing, but I mean, the point is, how are you going to police this community? Can you see this being used as a vehicle with not perfect intentions?
Yeah, and definitely that's a huge problem with actually our competitors right now. One of the pain points we want to address is using the place for imperfect intentions. The biggest thing is a strong customer service. It's almost a given that people are going to abuse this site. At this point, what we plan on doing is not prevent it, because honestly, it's close to impossible to prevent it. It's being able to address it in a rapid and efficient manner once it does happen. So we need to be able to mediate sites with people, not just like other competitors will only do it through like automated services. They'll close people's shops down without even talking to them. We need to be there with people, talking them through the process if it is abused.
Could you please describe the insurance? You would have insurance both for the artist
Yes.
and for the seller.
Yes,
For the
so
buyer,
we plan on offering a guarantee similar to like what eBay or Airbnb. We want to guarantee our users ourselves, money from ourselves. If something goes wrong, we'll be there to cover it. On top of that, we also plan on partnering with an art insurance company, so that way artists and buyers, when they're making that transaction, they'll have the option to purchase outside insurance in case they want that extra protection.
I have a question about scale. So what do you envision as where's your pilot community? You know, are you going for, Facebook started on college campuses, right?
Yeah.
And, here you have by city, by style, by experience, by studio. Where do you envision your first set of buyers and sellers come from, especially at this early phase where it's just you?
Yeah, so at this point, we're just going to have to rely on word of mouth before we get the funds to spread out further. Like Shirley mentioned briefly, she does a lot. She's done exhibitions in the past. She has a lot of ties with the art community. We want to start there, talk to people, get them interested in our idea. Once they realize, hey, maybe this is a cool idea, it will spread from there. So we're starting in those very basic, specialized, like art exhibitions, art shows. That's where we're going to start.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Will there be a juried, how will you determine which pieces of art will go into Art House? Is it juried?
We don't want to do that only because other places do that, and we feel that it's exclusive. If we do that, it's disadvantaging people who might not have more experience. We don't want to say, you don't have this much experience, we can't let you. This is a site for emerging artists, people who need guidance. We don't want to cut people out. There'll be rules like, of course, you can't post things that are illegal or anything, like you can't use the website in that way. But we don't want to base it based on like, we like your artwork or not. We're not here to police that. We're here to welcome everybody into the community.
I have two concerns, and I'm not necessarily expecting an answer, but in looking at the economic logic, you indicate in the first year of operations that the partners or founders would not take any compensation, which is a little bit problematic because I think you'd have to put full-time effort out of this. So that to me is a non-starter. And the second is, I get very concerned when you say, well, there's another firm that did $26 million in business, so clearly that's what we'll do. That I think is a weak assumption as well, unless you can help support that in some way to us.
Mm-hmm. That was based on third-year operation. When it started, it was much less. We don't expect to get that number in our first year. It's an assumption just for the sake of estimation. We don't want to claim that we're going to be making that. We're starting in a the market is much more saturated now from when they started. So we're guessing growth rate for us is going to be less than that. That was just to get a basic idea, but we're not trying to claim that that's what we're going to be making.
I have
One more minute.
One more comment. You said you want to be the iTunes for art. The thing about music is an album or a track is the same thing, regardless of the artist.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very homogeneous product that you're selling. Do you think that the details provided by artists can give buyers enough information about what they're buying? And are you going to police that at all?
The details about artists is a start. It's going to be a combination, the details provided by artists, the fact that we're going to allow rentals so people can try before they buy, also and also the ability to see pricing information. Those are the things that people are going to encourage. I mean, the comparison doesn't hold true in that we're not selling digital works that can be copied infinitely. We are selling something that has just one piece, but we want to make it, the idea behind the iTunes comparison was that we just want to make it more convenient, more inviting. There shouldn't be any fear when buying a piece of artwork, just like there's no fear in buying a song online.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
We'll now have time for a 5-minute break as the judges do their deliberation. And I misspoke that Mary Ann corrected me. The teams have 12 minutes to present, not 10 minutes, and then the judges have 8 minutes. And the first team did have 12 minutes to make this decision.
Sorry, can you go to the beginning? Can you,
Let's start.
Hi, my name's Alexander Haver. This is Bryce Haver and Chong-Soo Na. We're the co-founders of Our Story, and to start our presentation, we're going to show you guys a quick video that kind of introduces what Our Story is. Hey, Catherine, it's really great to sit down with you today. I've heard a lot about you. I'm with Our Story. My name's Alex, and I'm just going to ask you a few questions about your life. Yeah.
My family. Well, I was born in 1935, and my daddy started working at IPI, which is International Printing Inc. And then in 1940, I think it was, he went in the Army.
What I'd say is Our Story is more than a product, it's an emotion. I think one of the coolest things about Our Story is the personability that our writers offer to our customers.
There's nothing like this on the market today. It's really amazing.
For panels that had ruffles all the way around.
So basically what we do at Our Story is we send out writers to your loved one, and they discuss memories that they have, and we record them in a book and give it to you to pass on to the next generation.
So I dressed all up and all that, wrapped it all around me, put a scarf, put one of those things over my head.
Oh yeah, one of those heads first.
It's
Our
and Grandma made me go outside, and she took pictures of it. Serious, everything is beautiful. When the sun goes down, it depends on whether it's a lake, whether a mountain, or whatever it is. It's just beautiful.
So what is Our Story? Our Story is a business where we send our writers to meet with your loved ones. And they listen to your loved ones' ideas, thoughts, and memories, and they turn them into a book. Then these writers bring these books, then these writers send these books to editors, where the editors fix the books and then send them to a company where they're turned into actual books. Then we send them back to you to share with your family. So how are these books sold? So the books are sold in packages. So a package is just the amount of sessions that our writers will be with your loved ones. So our basic package would be 5 one-hour sessions where our writers will be one-on-one with your loved one. However, we're very flexible and we're willing to adapt packages to you. So who are our employees? For the first fiscal year, we're expecting for just the 3 of us to work. However, after the first fiscal year and we're more economically stable, we're planning to hire some employees, and especially from Dickinson. So why is Our Story sustainable? So we're very involved in our community. Our Story has a lot of economic growth, and also we really want to incorporate Dickinson community into our product by hiring Dickinson students in the future, as well as benefiting local retirement homes. Additionally, Our Story has a low initial cost because most of our cost comes from the service of Our Story.
Target audience. So for our target audience, we have people from 40 to 55. We chose this audience because of their likelihood to have a loved one we can interview, as well as this group of people has the largest disposable income. Other people that are going to be benefited are the people we're actually interviewing, the people that are 65 plus. 1 out of 7 people over 71 have some form of dementia, and us talking to them definitely helps them get better emotionally. So why Carlisle? So within 9 minutes of driving, there are 9 local nursing homes. There are 1,077 current residents in these local homes as of last month. Also, while the median income in Carlisle is lower than the national average, that could be attributed to the number of young people here, which is 19%. if you look at the income map around the nursing homes, you can see, around the nursing homes, you can see that most of the area in purple is where there's a higher median income, and that's where most of the nursing homes are. So they would have a larger larger income disposable income.
So partnerships and stakeholders. So in the first fiscal year of our story, we don't really want to have any shareholders because we don't need a lot of initial capital to start our business. However, as our story progresses, we're open to possibly having shareholders in the future. So as far as stakeholders and people who are personally invested in our business, so to start off, the three of us are going to be very invested in our business as well as our family. However, other important partnerships would be Dickinson College. Dickinson College is an important partnership for us because they offer a platform for us to host our meetings as well as we're able to utilize their resources. An example would be the Idea Fund, and they've offered to possibly give us loans in the future and offer us business advice. Additionally, like another important partnership of us would be the publishing company that we're going to work with. So right now, we're set up with a Amazon-affiliated publishing company where they're able to publish their books for about $26. And so we're going to grow a close relationship with them because we're going to have a constant stream of books that they're going to be able to publish. Lastly, the retirement communities in the Carlisle community are going to be important partnerships for us because we're going to provide a new, exciting activity for the residents that puts these retirement homes above other retirement homes in the area.
So our story provides service to the community, and we lie in the tertiary sector of the economy, and therefore the most important resource for us is the employees who will be interviewing and writing. So initially, we still will be working together, but as we expand and break even, we're planning to employ people from the Dickinson student body. The reason why we'll employ people from the Dickinson student body is because we can create greater social surplus. By employing people who pursue majors in writing discipline, we can provide them jobs that includes their skills. As our story evolves, so will our resources. But in our initial stages, the only materials we need are pencil, paper, laptop, recorder, and transportation. Another key resource we utilize is our campus. So trainings and meetings will be held in our campus, and as Alex said, we'll employ people from the campus. The intangible asset we'll utilize includes our connection. As member of APO, the service fraternity, we are having connection with local nursing homes, and we can market our business to them. We'll use our personal finance to run our business, and we're going to meet an alumni who's in the field of journalism to get help on training employees on how to talk and interview people. Also, we'll talk to Dr. Jane Cassell, who will help us create a training system for employees to approach people easier. These are the key activities we have to carry out. So Alex, as a secretary, he'll be in charge of doing meetings and doing paperwork. And I, also as a business major, he will be in charge of marketing. And to minimize the cost, we'll be using social network service such as Facebook to start our promotion. Also, we can use below-the-line promotions such as giving out flyers to the local nursing homes we know through our connection. I'll be in charge of creating a website with the help of Dickinson Makery, and I will be receiving the feedback from the customers. This is necessary because as our products are market-oriented, and we heavily depend on the opinion of the customers. So we'll be changing our business if necessary. And Bryce, as a creative writing minor, will be in charge of writing and interviewing people. As we make profit, we'll be providing insurance to workers, such as car insurances, in case they encounter any threat and any danger through the working process. And on the website we'll be posting the brief information of the employees, such as our information and photo, so that the customers are comfortable talking to us. And we will also be signing non-compete clause so that the employees cannot carry out our unique service without our agreement.
All right. So basically, there are 4 steps to get our product from an idea to an actual story. First, customer acquisition. Basically, a prospective customer will visit their loved one in a retirement home, and hopefully they'll see a flyer or a nurse will tell them about it. And they'll go on our website to complete a survey about the appointment times, the storybook they want, some specifics, their email. The next part is the interview process. In the first fiscal year, we'll send us out personally to go to the interview process, and we'll also write and format the stories, which will be my job as editor. The delivering phase. There's a subsidiary for Amazon company called Create Story. What these people will do, not only will they create our story for us, but they can also ship it to the specific person. And then finally, maintaining contact. Through the email we got in the original flyer, we can maintain contact with them. So competitive analysis. We definitely have a couple of competitors. One of them are big biography companies. An example of this is WriteMyStory.net. Not only do these people do full-length biographies that are very general, it differs from ours because ours is a small story that's more intimate and talks about more about the feelings, more about experiences they had, so you can really get into your loved one's mind. Also, these are much more expensive, and a 1-hour session is $150. Our total process for a 5-day thing is $200. Another important thing is the Memory Loss Initiative. There are a lot of nonprofits that record stories for free. However, they don't give a tangible product like we do, as they just record it and send it to a database. Another problem with this is to get to the recording studio, people have to find out how they get there, which can definitely be a problem as a lot of people aren't able to go to drive.
So economic logic. So initially, in the first fiscal year, it's just going to be the 3 of us working, so we're not going to have to pay for employees for the first fiscal year. Some of our costs that we're going to have in the future include the non-compete clause, copyright laws, privacy settings, and insurance fees. For our sunk cost total, and these are the resources that Changsu mentioned earlier, we're expecting around $218. And the cost of our book, it costs us about $26 to make a book. And with the labor, it's around $150. And so we're expecting to make around $67 per book, which equals about $200, which is how much we're going to charge for the books. This means that after only selling four books, we're going to be able to break even from our sunk cost. All right, thank you. And also, I'd like to give a special thanks to the people on the board: Bree, Mary Ann, Christy, Jane Cassell, Donna. She's from Idea Fund. She helped us from Idea Fund. The Makery for all the help with the video, and the Idea Fund.
And a special thanks to Mary Ann. We have enjoyed her a lot of times.
These are kind of, warm-ups, kind of standard questions. So tell me a little bit about, in a concise way, the issue of sustainability and how that is integrated into your product.
So first of all, thank you for your question. There's a couple ways we're sustainable. One of them being is we help out people, especially older people, socializing is very important. So to help them through this is a sustainable process. The other thing that's important is we're also supporting local nursing homes. A lot of local nursing homes are looking for new things to do, and frankly, bingo can get boring. So it's definitely a new thing to help nursing homes be better and be more innovative.
And I want to add something. So sustainability, like environment-wise, we're looking to encourage our writers to use bikes. Since the retirement communities are so close to Dickinson, we're really encouraging bikes. And in addition to that, we're also looking for printing companies that have sustainable principles, because they're going to be an important partnership for us later on in in our story.
That's fine. I have 3 questions. I'm going to go real quick.
Add on to the question.
No, that's enough. I'm good. Tell me what can go wrong. Why is this going to fail? Or why could it potentially fail?
So one of our biggest problems is we don't have anything that's proprietary. We're a service. So basically what we're trying to do now is we're starting off very simple so we can find our niche, we can find our place in the world. And that's how we'll specialize, and that's how people won't be able to copy us.
So it's just preference. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. I'm just kind of being careful with time. My only other concern is, tell me a little bit about how the interviewee is involved in the creation of the product.
So if you saw in the video, I did an interview with someone from Claremont Retirement Community.
Right.
So I talked with my mom, who's Jane Cassell. She's a psychologist. So in the project, what I did was before we started was I went through a list and I talked about what she wanted to get out of this. So then I kind of wrote down some questions that I had in mind that I wanted to ask her. So from that, we had about a 50-minute interview. And what I would do is I would ask questions to try and get stories out that she was interested in. But it ended up being more of a conversation. And when I went back and I kind of went through what we talked about, I kind of took out the stuff that she felt was important to her, and so that's one way.
That's fine. Yeah, and I'm going to be only for time. My one concern is there's a reason the other services charge $150 an hour, and I'll tell you why. Because when I look at this, if you have someone who's co-creating the story, they're going to have to review it. There's going to have to be more than one edit. The work is going to need to be transcribed. $5 a page for probably 2 to 3 hours of work to generate one page. It's going to be difficult to find people to do that. So I have some significant concerns with kind of the pricing, the costing model, because the creative process, as you well know, is not this kind of industrially driven. I mean, we have to write for a living, and I can assure you, you don't generate a page in an hour. So that's a concern.
I definitely understand your concern. So as you said, how we set it up is they get paid per hour for 1 hour of interview, and then they're going to get paid for 2 hours of writing it. So these pages, they're going to include pictures. It's not going to necessarily be full pages. If you look at the sample book I gave you guys, they're not like full pages. So when we say a page in a storybook, I apologize, I ran out of time, so I didn't really get to explain what's in a storybook. But if you look at a page of a storybook, it's not like a full paper. We're just trying to get as many stories out as possible in the time.
Thank you very much. I ate up too much time. Get right in.
Sorry. Have you had, or will you have any training in interviewing geriatric patients? Because the method in which you may interview them is going to take a different path than if you would interview each other. They tend to want to talk more, which is fine because a lot of them are very lonely, which takes more of your time. Have you factored in asking them the questions in a slow, repetitive manner? So will you have training in the interview process?
So our packages, the way they're designed, where they're supposed to be an hour, so when our writers get there, they tell who they're interviewing with, like, we have an hour to get this done. So is your concern whether, like, it'll be a productive hour, or, because we're gonna train our writers to go sit with someone, and when their hour's up, they're gonna be done. And it can be hard to stop conversations, but it's a business, and this is our business model. So we're training our employees, and like they're going to follow our business model.
Okay, and to clarify, the interview process itself, will you have your questions predetermined then to fit?
So in training, we're gonna give, like, we're gonna train our writers how to formulate questions, and then they're gonna come with some questions already prepared, but there's also gonna be some adapting to who they're working with, because not all of the people who are interviewing are gonna be the same. So these are kind of details that are kind of gonna that we're going to work out in how we're going to train all of our employees. But we've definitely decided that training our writers is very important, just because this is such a personalized service that our writers have to be ready for anything.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, really quickly.
Yeah,
We
we
need
have
to ask
to
Tony
go.
another question.
Yeah,
That's okay. I will just make one comment. I think starting in nursing homes and assisted living facilities, it's a straightforward way of piloting the program. I'd encourage you to think about, in terms of innovation and shared value, that there's a 95% of the elderly population doesn't live in a nursing home or in an assisted living population. Of those that don't, a third of them live alone. It's like 11 million people. That's a large population of people that are the most socially isolated and maybe in most need of this service. So I'd encourage you to think about a way in which you can reach out, especially in terms of encouraging things like social sustainability.
Definitely. We definitely want to consider that. That was basically what we considered doing at the start, going to homes, talking to people. But in the beginning process, it kind of comes to a liability issue. We can't really go into somebody's homes, just liability-wise. But as we evolve, as we learn more about ourselves, I definitely see that as a possibility. Like, personally, I volunteer at nursing homes, and connecting with people is what I do. That's why I chose this. So that's definitely a goal.
and senior centers could be a
Yeah.
segue.
Okay, panel? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where do I put the mic?
Once again, we'll have a 5-minute break.
Do you guys have the mic? I don't know where to put it down without making the loud noise.
What cup?
Good.
Your fingernails? Oh no, these are all squished.
the clicker or not? Yeah. I can just stand behind the computer. It'll be fine. No.
Where's the shit at? Hey.
It's off for now.
Is it? Okay.
Then we'll just flick it on when we start. What do you have this down here for? Just in case.
For when we give it to him. I kind of want some right now.
Do what?
I kind of want some right now.
Yeah.
I'm a little hungry. Yeah, I think we're good. Cool. All right, is this on? No.
Flick it up.
Hello? No.
Hello? Bingo.
Hello? Okay, cool. Cool. Well, thank you guys, judges. Thank you. Everyone who's helped us, big thank you. My name is Vaughn Gooding.
My name is Stephen Hofer. We're both international business majors. We're here to talk to you all about the heavy avocado today.
Cool. So let's have a guac talk. Cool. So I know when you look at guacamole, it's easy to think about it and just say, you know, what's so special about guac? But currently, if you go into the grocery store and you look at guac, you get these little plastic tubs that aren't very pretty. You know, it's kind of like a big, slimy plastic tub. And it's been this way for the past 20 years. So there's been a 30-year-old preservation method that's completely plagued the market for, you know, the last 20 years. And what you wouldn't know from looking at these different containers is that 83% of the guac market is controlled by one person. And so we're trying to change that. First, we're completely reinventing this technology. We've spent a summer working with Cornell food science researchers. And additionally, we're trying to bring fresh fruit infusions to guacamole, which has never been seen before. Cool. So, a little bit of the history behind guac, because it wasn't always this like popular dip that you see nowadays. You see it everywhere now. It has a huge fandom. But you know, back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, it wasn't a big thing. And it wasn't until the 90s that it became the official dip of the Super Bowl. That's when it really blew up. People knew the product, became almost a staple of the American diet. And with NAFTA, the price of avocados drastically decreased. So suddenly it wasn't this luxurious commodity that, you know, only the rich could afford.
So as you can see in this chart, this graphs the net imports into the United States of avocados from the early 90s all the way through 2014. And as you can see, right around 1996, 1998, that's when the big explosion of the imports of the avocados that came into the US. And actually the avocado consumption has doubled between 2008 and 2012, and has been rising ever since. So this shows that there's not a slowdown in terms of imports and the demand in the US for the avocados.
So I want you to think about that for a second. We're here making guacamole, but what we're really doing is we're reinventing a 30-year-old technology from a $1 billion industry. Just think about that for a second. And there's huge players everywhere. I mean, the small dip that you guys see here, this was introduced by Starbucks 3 weeks ago. It's terrible. Okay, so a little bit of background. When guacamole started blowing up back in the 90s, like I mentioned, its direct competitor was salsa, right? Salsa wanted to keep up with this rapid growth that guacamole went under. It did this by diversifying its products. That's when you started seeing any type of salsa you could imagine: chipotle, lime, bean, Southwest, any type of salsa you could imagine, they had it. The big problem with this is that because of the harsh preservation method that these guacamoles use, they can't handle fragile ingredients and diversified products like this. So why does store-bought guac suck? If you would, I would love for you guys to try the unappealing products in front of you. So while you're trying these, our third partner, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, is going to talk a little bit about the science behind it. I know it's a video, but please try to pay close attention because he's giving some really important information here. Ooh, how do you do this? Cool. All right, listen up.
We've all seen how guac turns brown when you leave it out. Well, this is called enzymatic browning, a form of oxidation. It occurs when the polyphenol oxidase enzyme in avocados comes in contact with oxygen and breaks down the natural compounds within the fruit. Back in the 90s, a company called Holy Guacamole found a way to preserve guac using extremely high pressure to squeeze all of the oxygen out of packages. For a little bit of perspective, the pressure they exerted on their product was of the same magnitude as the pressure a Formula One car exerts on its tires. Imagine that. While this preservation method worked, the enormous pressure destroyed the texture of the guac. They failed to replicate home-style chunky guac. Instead, it became the smooth paste with granulated and dehydrated replacements to real and fresh ingredients. They completely renounced the use of real guac key ingredients like lime juice, cilantro, and tomato. No wonder there's no flavor in it. This preservation method became known as high-pressure processing, or HPP. Holy Guacamole was quick to patent it, and because of guac's rise in popularity, they began to license it out, establishing themselves as the king of the guac market. Today, they have a hand in almost every prepackaged guac sold in the U.S. Cool.
All right, awesome. So this is our famous product. No drum roll necessary or anything. But if you guys want to try this as well, I'll give you a brief just summary of what Ronaldis has said. You know, a lot of the products that you see in the supermarket contain little to no real avocado. It contains this soybean filler. When you look at this stuff, this is like avocado paste. There's no tomato. They use granulated ingredients. Don't use cilantro. Don't use lime juice. So I don't really know what it is, but it's this avocado paste. So this is where we're trying to make our mark in the market. Cool. So because of our gentle preservation technology, instead of using a high pressure to squeeze the oxygen out of packages, we actually keep the gas in the package. So we use a mixture of CO2 and nitrogen, which still completely eliminates the process of oxidation, the browning, while still maintaining a chunky texture like you see in front of you. This allows for us to use fragile ingredients. This is a mango guac that you're eating. We also do a pomegranate guac. We do a peach and mint guac. None of this would be possible with the old preservation. Finally, we're kind of keeping it a little weird, as you can tell. I'm sure nobody here has heard of fruit guac before. It's a little something different, and we're really proud of that.
So what are we doing now? So here's our current business plan. So we have 3 stages, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Right now, we're obviously in stage 1, where our main goal for stage 1 is to develop our proof of concept. We've been selling on Dickinson's campus for the last couple of years. We've sold out every single time we've taken orders on campus. We're also looking into going into farmers markets to build up our model, to try different recipes, to see what people like. And once we develop our proof of concept, our first part of stage 2 will be going into local stores. Local stores are your mom and pop stores, whether it's in Carlisle, Harrisburg, your hometown. These are places that have full autonomy over what goes on their shelves, so it's much easier for us to get into these stores. And that will further our proof of concept for when we go into regional stores. These are like your local stores like Giant, Aldi's. And you may wonder why we want to go into these stores and how hard it is. Well, they're decentralized. So what decentralized means is that each individual owner in a specific area, so let's say the owner of all the stores in Harrisburg or Carlisle, they have a say on what goes on their shelves, as compared to somebody like Walmart or Whole Foods, where the individual owner of the Walmart down the street has no say in what's in his store. It's all determined by the headquarters for the company. So these decentralized grocery chains do have the ability to bring in local products, and we will, at this point, have developed our proof of concept enough that it makes strategic sense to move into these stores. And then part 3 for our second stage is online food delivery. This is something like Blue Apron, Amazon Fresh, Home Chef, Plated. So basically the way this would work is we would develop a smaller size guacamole, say 4 to 8 ounces, that would go in these ingredient boxes that are shipped to people's homes so that when they're making tacos or Mexican food or guacamole burgers, whatever it is, they'll have Happy Avocado licensed products inside their box. And this is a great way for us to expand nationally. When these Blue Apron companies are working from California all the way up to Maine, there's no added cost to us in order to market this product when it's being marketed itself in the box itself. And then finally, our third stage will be national grocers. This is obviously the hardest to get into. You can't just walk into Walmart and say, put our product on your shelf. But we hope by this point we will have developed an extremely strong proof of concept. We will have name recognition. We will have used strong advertising through social media to get our name out there. And it will make very strong business sense for these companies to expand with us. So here's a few of the home grocery delivery services, the regional grocers and national grocers that we would target. Regional grocers would be Kroger, Tom Thumb, Aldi's, Dave's, and Safeway. And that would be kind of in our second stage would be these two, and then obviously national grocers is third stage. So quick cost analysis. Our cost of production with a co-packer, which we've already identified in the Chicago area, would be $2.88 for an 8-ounce serving. That holy guacamole that you have right here, the bigger one, that's an 8-ounce size serving. So that would be the size that we would initially sell it at. The co-packer would be our base expense. It'd be about 2/3 of that $2.88. But over time, as we grow through economies of scale, we would obviously be able to decrease that price. Our wholesale price would be $5, and then the suggested retail would be anywhere from $6 to $8, which is right in line with what Holy Guacamole sells their product at. And depending on the target demographic and where we're selling it, it would be anywhere between $6 to $8. And this would obviously give us a very strong profit margin of 42%. So this is where our co-packer would be located in Chicago. We've already identified 32 decentralized grocery chain stores that we would be able to approach to put our product in. And the reason we picked Chicago is we identified a specific co-packer that has the ability to have the flexibility with us so that we don't have excess inventory, we don't have guac that we're having to store for too long a time to make it go bad. And then obviously this would greatly eliminate a lot of our transportation costs because we would be distributing in a local area to further develop our proof of concept.
So I just want to conclude with one final thought. This is a process that we've been working on for a long time. If you look at the stickers in front of you, you'll see those across campus. Students have those on their phones, on their computers, on their water bottles. So it's something we've been doing. It's not a thought, it's not a concept, and it's not an idea. This is in action, and this is tangible. So with that, thank you. What did you guys think of the guac?
Good. It's very good.
It's good. It's very good.
I think, well, just to watch time, I'm going to ask one of the two questions, and the issue is around, your key ingredient and concerns about issues of sustainability. Can you talk to a little bit about that? Because in your written response, and this was a concern, it states, our manufacturing requires connections to produce to avocado suppliers. This means maintaining a steady supply of produce sourced at a low cost. It gives me concerns with regard to issues of sustainability.
Sure. So a couple things to address there. Off the bat, we've already established relationships with avocado growers. So one of my close friends is an avocado grower out in California. In terms of sustainability, I think the main issue with that is going to be weather and seasonal issues. So for example, if you have a dry season or a wet season, that changes the cost of the avocados, and obviously the time of year changes that as well. And depending on that, we change where we source from potentially. So right at the top of the bat, the first place to source, 85% of avocados from the US come from Mexico. If Mexico has a bad year, you go to Peru. If that doesn't work, you go to Northern Africa. There's different sources that are similar in cost, very similar. And in terms of sustainability, we're sourcing only fair trade avocados. So that really speaks to kind of the values that we want to have behind our ingredients and the integrity that we uphold. We're not just trying to serve a medium or a mediocre product, but this is a high quality premium guacamole.
I think my colleague wanted to jump in. You want to ask about
Well,
that?
no, I would just elaborate on that. So are you guys going to seek fair trade certification for the guacamole?
Correct. And I also forgot to mention, but we're in the middle of filing a patent for the technology as well.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
But, so are you guys going to be certified organic, certified fair trade?
Fair trade, right? Because the thing with organic is that it's a catchy phrase, but like when it comes down to effects in the food, it's more sensitive to, let's say, tomatoes. So that's a route that we can take. But in terms of avocados, the skin is too thick that an organic avocado doesn't really mean much in the end result.
So that's the issue. I mean, with regard to the avocado, I mean, as far as deforestation issues, water consumption issues.
Well, yeah, so, I wrote down my statistics, right? So 74.1 gallons of water for 1 pound of avocados in California.
Right.
In Mexico, see if I get it right, Michoacan, the state in Mexico where most avocados are grown, there's a lot of illegal deforestation occurring because of the high price that avocados are demanding. That's forcing out other crops, eliminating rotation, and eliminating pine forests. So I would just encourage you guys to think in a really direct way about your supply chain. And I think that in a lot of ways can provide opportunity for both generating value and also addressing kind of the sustainability of the supply chain throughout.
I think the great thing about that is our distribution and growth model is a grassroots model. So because of those 3 stages, it's not like we're jumping in with an investment of $10,000 or $100,000, but we're really building this from the ground up and starting from ground zero, which we're already at. So because of that, I think sourcing a small amount of avocados and increasing that over time gives us that opportunity to make sure that we're retaining the integrity of our ingredients.
Sure, just to go off that, and so, because Vaughn does have the connection out in California, we do have some level of flexibility as far as where we do source. And when we're looking to do fair trade avocados, obviously the integrity behind the growers and the business that we would be approaching would be much higher compared to somebody like Holy Guacamole, who you look on their website and there's no mention of fair trade anywhere on that. So
Yeah, it wasn't clear in the written report, and that threw red flags up for us when we saw it.
Sure.
My concern is that because of the 83% market share that Holy Guacamole has, your competitive advantage is over the startups, but how long will it take you, do you envision, to break in and start becoming a competitive threat to Holy Guacamole?
So one of the great aspects about that is because we're in the middle of filing a patent for our preservation method, we offer these infusions that they could never offer. So if you take a chunky guac like that and use their method, it's going to turn into this mango guac smoothie. It's not going to be anything like our product, and because of our patent, we can expect to hold that for years to come. In terms of when we expect to become a competitor, we're first spending 12 months in the first grassroots stage, and then hopefully about 36 months using online services like Blue Apron, Instacart, decentralized grocers, and then the hope is within 5 years to hit national growth.
Great, thank you.
Well, I'll say, can you speak a little bit more about the patents and how you're going to share that technology with your co-packer?
Sure. So the contract with the co-packer is basically, it's not something that you have to license out because they're basically your client. But one of the things that we did mention in our report is that, let's say we're at the mid-level growth stage and we have an order from Whole Foods and they want to place a big order and we need funding badly. What we can do is take our technology, take that patent and license it out the same way that Holy Guacamole did in the 90s. So that's basically how you have a bunch of different players in the guac market all under the name of Holy Guacamole because they licensed their technology out. If we need to do that, we can. However, holding all the profits by ourselves sounds pretty great. So it all just depends on how much capital we need at the time. Yeah.
And most likely between stage 2 and stage 3, going from the regional grocers to the national grocers, would be when we look into a VC funding round. Obviously, if that's a necessity, The biggest concern, or the biggest cost, I should say, is the co-packer. So we would be starting with the smaller co-packer in Chicago, but going from stage 2 to stage 3 is a very, very significant jump. And if there were large fixed costs that would be associated with moving to a large-scale co-packer, then we would potentially look into VC funding. So.
Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Let me get this. Go ahead. There, just want the guacamole. Hang on it.
We're giving these to everyone, right?
Yes,
Since there's
everybody, yeah. Sorry about
You
that.
might want that.
I'm gonna put that there.
Hi, everyone. We're going to pass out the eye clickers right now, and the turning point clickers, so you can all do the people's choice vote. The way that works is there's multiple options on the clickers, but you're only going to use one of the top 3 buttons. If you look on the program, it will tell you which button corresponds with which team. And then once we get this set up, we'll tell you when to go ahead and select. And what you're going to want to do is aim them right here at the receiver. So if you just hold on with us for a minute as we pass them out and get this set up, we'll be right back.
Just watch that, John.
Yeah.
Step in it.
Okay, everyone, you can all feel free to vote now.
One vote per clicker because it's set up that way.
No, it's the people, it's not the competitors.
Oh.
Well, we need the thing on top.
But he just doesn't want to see the results.
Yeah, but we need the thing.
This
on top. That'll stay.
There you go.
John, do you have it done? Is this finished? Is this finished?
And it's just the first place, right? Has everyone gotten a chance to vote? All right. So our People's Choice winner is the Happy Avocado.
Before we announce the winners of the award, two more thanks are in order. First, Marianne and I together would like to extend our thanks to Christy. Christy, you have helped us enormously over 3 years, all 3 years, starting from your second year. So we just would like to share this very small token of our appreciation. And second, Marianne, thank you very much. Students have provided their testimony, and I suggested at the outset that she is the backbone of the organization. I just want to say thank you personally for carrying us.
Just up front. You're with Ellen, but hold on your last.
It's with great pleasure that we present this check for $1,000 to Our Story. Congratulations.
Okay, so our runner-up, a check for $2,000, Art House.
Has my name on it.
Two quick final thoughts. Thank you to our viewing audience for your attentiveness. And everybody, please join us downstairs for a reception. Thank you very much.
We'll have a box right by the judges' table to put the clickers in. Can I have the clicker box? I'm just going to put it right by the judges' table.